I'm sorry, I have been muted by, sorry, Dr. Joshua. Okay, I just introduce Dr. Joshua again. Dr. Joshua is Associate Professor in Penang University, and he has been heading the Intelligent Department Computing from 2015 to 2017. And prior to this, he worked as Research Associate in Artificial Intelligence Lab, and where his works involve the intelligent system techniques, where he adopted a computational algorithm implementation in interdisciplinary field areas. And his expertise is evident in working with international collaborators in publications, visiting research fellow to share the knowledge. Presently, his work has enlarged to the other areas where he is working in deep learning, data analytics, especially targeting on graph convolutional neural network and graph recurrent neural networks, hypergraph attentions, end-to-end steering learning systems, design algorithm in drug discovery, and quantum machine learning. He is also the principal investigator and co-investigator for the various grant funding projects, including national and international levels. He is an editorial board member for the Journal of Energy Optimization and Engineering. He has also authored and edited books in Wiley Publication and IGI Publishers. He has published more than 40 papers in leading international conferences, conference proceeding and peer-reviewed journals. He is a regular invitee for the keynote speaker and workshop presenter in IAIM 2019, LSCQAI 2021, ICRIT 2021, and IAIM 2022. So welcome, Professor Joshua, and I hope the participants would learn from your experiences and further would be able to implement for their research work and in academic writing. Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Joshua? Yes, you.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me first?
Yeah.
For some issue with the mic.
Sir, I can hear you. There is some,
you all hear me, I think should be
and
fine.
all the time it is muting the people.
Just put me in the chat
so
window because I couldn't hear you guys talking to me. We can start. Shall we start?
Yes.
If you can say.
Yeah, sir, you can start.
If you reply me in chat window is fine.
Yeah. Sir, can you see the message? Please start the session. Sir, am I audible to you? You can start the session.
I believe everyone is audible there from your side.
Yes, sir. You are audible to us.
You just type.
Okay, okay, good. So some issues might be with the bandwidth. Okay, so in that case, I just, during the Q&A session, I'll open my video. So otherwise I will stop here, okay? Okay, I'll start.
Yes, sir, your PPT is visible.
Welcome everyone to March 22 and good morning, and here is good afternoon. It's 12:10 here. It's really good to see you everyone here, and this is my first time. I thank God for that. I'd like to thank the patents, Mr. Sunil Galgotia, Chancellor, Mr. Guru Galgotia, CEO, Ms. Ara Galgotia, Director Operations, and Professor Dr. Pradeep Bajaj, Vice Chancellor, for giving me this opportunity, and my appreciation to arranging teams, probably the committee that is arranging this wonderful session, virtual sessions. A special note of thanks to the organizing secretary, Dr. B. Balamurgan, and Professor Dr. Anamika Pandey for contacting me during their busy schedule and arranging this e-faculty development program. Thank you for that. So let's look at some outline. I directly go into the topic. Thanks for the introduction, even though I cannot hear, but I believe it's a very long introduction. So today, I'd like to talk about the main 4 stages in book proposal writing, how the landscape looks like, and how others see the landscape. So what are all the exciting ways to write books? Planning to go for a walkthrough of book publishing and sourcing publisher selection, editorial functions, challenging and challenges, and the final publication. So this is the outline. So I believe this outline is more suitable for the talk. While journal articles are an ideal way to share the results of new research, but books tends to cover topics in more depth and usually have a longer shelf life. So that's why people looking for book writing. So you may ask questions about what is the right time to start writing books. Anytime. You're starting your career as a researcher, you're able to write books. You're in a retirement stage, you're writing books. You're in the middle peak hours of your research, you're able to write books. Okay. So let's look at what is actually the proposal, the book proposal, and what goes into the book proposal. There are many explanations given, so we'll try to look for a proposal. So in terms of a book proposal, it could be any discipline book, for example, a story book, or it could be a scientific writing. So this book proposal is again a document intent to cover a publisher or convince the publisher, because they are the one that going to spend some money on it. Okay. And that your book project is economically viable for their publishing house. There are certain publishers, so they will approve your proposal and they will ask you money to do the publication process. Okay? So I don't recommend that type of publishers. There are publishers there. Okay? So it needs, for you to write a book proposal or a book project, it needs to persuade its readers that you need some idea. Is it enough commercial potential that the publisher should take the risk of putting money and resources into your book? So it's not like you just proposal accepted and you just publish. The publishing side, they need to make money out of your book. Okay, that's why they'll give you some royalties as a token of appreciation. So beyond the book proposal are also wonderful development tools are available. There could be some very interesting publisher tools available, but some may not. Okay? So the act of writing one or a chapter or a book will help you to clarify the thoughts and find a way to express your book idea. So it will also help you to understand the essence of your book project so that you're able to communicate well to the research area. So when you're writing a proposal, it is important to think about your audience as well. It's very likely to be your proposal first convince your publisher and your audience. Someone who do not know that what you are talking about and do not know you, but through your book, they really appreciate your work and they will read your subject. Okay. So what this is in mind, how can you describe your project such a way that it sounds interesting and compelling to above all economically viable things? And remember, so convincing this reader for a particular group, for example, a particular research group, it's a bit challenging. And they may have to convince, as well as the publisher has to convince the sales team, okay, and worth financing your book project. So this one you have to remember very carefully, okay, when you think of writing a book proposal. It's not writing a proposal, submit one publisher, second publisher, third publisher. Usually, authors, editors usually do that way, but must be careful of handling this. Other things, okay, after the proposal, you need to convince the publisher and also the sales team, and so on. Okay. The second area that we look here is what really goes into your proposal. Okay, before I begin, please note that the following guidelines are just that guidelines. Okay, they are the content of a sort of platonic ideas of a proposal. Okay, but in my experience, actual proposals can bit vary here. Even though I list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until 13, it may vary here. It depends on the discipline. So the approach is that is all for suggestions, adding or removing elements as you can see fit to make this most persuasive document. It can be suitable for your own book project, even though I just list out few. But the content is almost the idea. So if you look at the header, so here I just put that as a little prince, as a storybook. Are you writing a storybook or a scientific writing? Proposal is a proposal. Okay? Unless otherwise you have your own DIY press at home and you can produce your own books, publishing your own books. So I'll come back to that later on. Okay, what are the various types of publishing? So let's quickly go through this. What is header? So it starts with the work that of the project. The title is very keen and very, very important. Okay, and your title must be matched with your objective of the book and the theme of your book as well. Okay, so start with the work title or working title of the project or a book project, along with your name, email ID, and phone number. Second level is the synopsis side. So some people suggest synopsis is just one sentence. No. So I always used one of the 5 paragraph description of the project or a book project. So this should essentially be some kind of elevator pitch. So within a very short synopsis, the whole content is delivered to the publisher. First thing, you need to convince the publisher. Okay? So be sure to describe your book is a very stringent and compelling way of writing your synopsis. It will take a long time, okay, to write a very precise synopsis. So again, I put the third point is something like, if you feel that a longer synopsis is really needed and is necessary, this is a longer kind of a narrative description and of your book project, but it should clearly answer what is the project, what's supposed to be the book project, why are you writing, how many writers you plan to engage, and do you have any special connections of research groups, something like you're connecting with the synopsis with all this information. But this, I prefer the short synopsis, precise, because in when you see the proposal form itself, you have another columns that you are able to write all this other stuff, right? What is your project about? Which research lab is you're involved? So I think my suggestion here is a very brief synopsis is essential and it is important. Okay? And you can go through some chapter breakdown. Some book publishers, they don't mind, but if you want to classify them level 1 publishers, level 2 publishers, or level 3 publishers. So some level 1 publishers, they really look at you. There are 2 reasons they're looking at your chapter breakdown. They may not know you personally, and they will look at your profile, LinkedIn, or whatever they will get. They may not convince, but they're really interested in your title. So they may need to look how confident that you plan to deliver your chapters. So they may ask you to write some few sentences describing what are the chapters breakdown. Okay? So some chapters or sample chapters they may require. Okay, at least 2 chapters you may need to provide. Then we look at the book details. Here, the place that you are going to be described in detail of the book project, you might include approximately how many words imagine the final book will be. Okay. If you're including images, or you might include a list of how many images, estimation of images. For example, you have 15 chapters. So some publisher, they are looking for 10 to 15 chapters in order to publish a book. So in this case, you're writing here in this book details, how many images you're planning. So that means you may need to control with that authors having those images. Is it a black and white? And whether the images will be free or free to use, or we need any permissions, okay? Because these are all requires budget. So when you write book proposal, you just put that I'm estimating of images, black and white, colored images. So these are all some kind of consideration for budgeting side for the publisher. So our job is just to throw away the proposal, isn't it? But this is also need to be taken care of. Then you may need to look about editors, author's biography, an updated CV. Okay. Updated CV. So basically anything that supports your argument of the content of the book, it should be in your reflecting in terms of your biography or your CV side. Okay. Then the platform of audience. So the platform of audience in terms of this is very important for the publisher. They want to know that the authors will be able to reach certain audience who will buy the book. That's why in some publishers, they focused on school children, standard or college books. So in that case, they won't entertain you to go as an edited books. They will clearly say that, oh, we don't publish edited volumes. We're going for textbooks. So if you look at the platform, which is important. So the section when you are writing in the proposal, demonstrate whether you are reaching out to which platform of audience. Okay. So now every book is e-books digitalized. So in that case, you may need to list here your status of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, website or blog if you have one, etc. Okay. Also include a number of people, your mailing list, if applicable, not necessarily you want to do that. Okay. And even though we are writing proposal, the proposal, it has a marketplace or a market profile. Okay. So begin with the small marketplace of your book, establish a particular book does not already exist. So they will ask you in a form, proposal form, what are the closely related titles from other publishers. Let's say you are working on a publisher A, and they ask the editors, those who are writing a proposal, they'll ask you whether is there any related title published in other publisher recently. So this one, you may need to do some kind of investigation, literature search across the board. Okay. Let's say you're writing a publisher A, that is a publisher, it's a well-known publisher, and they are also asking the same question. So what is your market profile? Something like you have to mention at least 3 or 4 book titles related to your title, which is already published recently. Okay. This portion is important as well. So if you don't leave this type of area just a blank, they are looking at this portion. Okay. For each book, write a brief synopsis and what makes it similar to the different from yours. Okay. So the goal here is to demonstrate that your book is filling a gap with a viable market. Okay. So something like a slide promotion, you may need to do for your own title with some serious description. Okay. Describe how you imagine your book will looks like and what is the size of the book. Is go by volumes, 1 volume or 2 volume or a handbook of research. If it is a visualization book, so probably you may need to print all the images in colors. So this kind of emphasis must be there in the market profile here. Okay. The last 3 ones, very simple, the selling venues. Okay. So do you know any kind of shops or likely to stock your book? So perhaps this is very important, and you are able to see that whether any people is willing to buy. So that means you tell the audience, I'm going to publish the book. Okay. Just to publish the book. So how long it's significantly, let's say a well-known publisher is giving you a right. So probably once you publish, I'll take number of copies. Just add it here. Okay. This is a very tedious process, but just telling you that people who might provide a serious connection. Okay. So primary schedule, tentative schedule of your book. So you can put that 7 to 8 months. Don't go beyond 1 year unless the publisher requests you to do it. I believe now it's a COVID time. So still in Malaysia and other parts of the world, still we are work from home and not able to reach computing labs, do simulations. So you may need to consider this. But it's a good practice. You want to release dates within 8 to 9 months. Okay. So literature search. Now we move on to the scientific writing of proposals. Okay. So, for example, you guys are in a different discipline now. I saw that your university is very nice, and your subjects are very up to date, and you have a variety of departments. Research work is very ambitious and awesome. Okay, and you have a lot of students there, and you have a very good staff to support. Okay. So even though you have to invest on many things, so I think when you go for a proposal, so same logic going to be applied here. So let's say I want to write a proposal. So I have to go through this type of various searches. So usually we do for writing a literature survey of a paper, but when you write a book, you may need to think of this list of databases. Okay, so I just listed a few here, but these are the main ones. At least few idea you'll get out of it. So where people publish, what type of journals are coming out, why we need this book to be in between this long list of top class publishers or journal publishers. Okay. Find a quick research gap analysis here. Okay. So before we start the scientific writing. Okay. So telling people about your research, it's just an important way of doing it. So let's say build writing experiences. Okay. So writing scientific papers is again a central part of any academic year, right? So, but there are some notable differences when it comes to publishing a book for a wider audience. So previously we have seen what's supposed to be in the proposal. So what here in this slide, we talk about what's supposed to be in a scientific writing of book proposal. Slight difference. Scientific means thinking in words. Okay. So here, when we write about building a writing experience, you may think about, refer back to certain recent published journals or similar works that people actually put in effort. So that you find the research gap, you come up with your writing experience. Okay. And especially finding a right topic, you must be very careful on this because plenty of publishers outside are available, plenty of researchers are working on area. They quickly release their published work in open access journals. A big challenge here. However, there is a group of people currently working on books. Okay, so that's why I mentioned in the first slide itself, is big. Writing journals is different than books, and book has a longer shelf life. Okay. The third rule here in this case is getting a suitable editors. So I'm in Malaysia and you are in India, and you are I'm looking for someone from Australia, someone from Europe. So this is a trick here. So publishers, they are working on a global stage or a global population or global editors. So if your book has a global editors, definitely there is a 90% chance of your proposal get approved. It's not only for books, it's for grant writing, journal publication, multi-factor journal publication. You have to have multiple editors in all parts of the world. I'm not saying that everyone is selfish or something, but this is the trend now. So especially when you do the book writing, you must have different authors from different different region of the planet. Okay, there are some advantages and there are some challenges. I won't say drawback. This is not a drawback. There are challenges. Okay, in terms of finding a new editor, which you may not know them personally. Okay, that's what we always say, that if you go for a conference, have a very good, nice network, face-to-face network. Unfortunately, we are in a COVID era now, so it's not happening now. Okay, but in my own experience, this all happened to me. So I have few Russian authors, few Italian authors, and some European authors. So I try them. So they may have to have a confidence in my proposal and send my proposal to them for vetting and so on. So get suitable editors. So this is again a challenge, but this is, so once you get a variety of editors, so definitely it will be a very advantage for your book to get published or your proposal get approved. Okay. And when you write for different publishers, so I think this could be one of the good idea. Okay, and finding a structure. Again, I have seen your day. This is a day 3 workshop, isn't it? Day 1, day 2, you have a very properly organized, structured way of delivering the research activities. One of the things is I saw the recent one in YouTube was usage of grammars. Okay, and it is not spontaneous, even though we have plenty of online tools available for us to do. But I feel that when you write, if you have really good time, you may need to go for a proper structure of English or writing. Okay, I think I'm not a native speaker, so definitely we may need this. Okay? And if you are working on other aspects, let's say if you are working on to contact artists, so you need to come up with your own call for chapters. So we'll see that one. Okay. So now I want to show you some example here. Slowly this is about the proposal instructions. Okay. What is really happening things here. Walk through. So this is one of the book proposal form. So what actually happens here is about some editor's information. Then you have a editor research interest. So here, editor information, it could be a group of editors. You see that some CV is needed. So you may need to have their latest version of CVs to be attached. Then editor research interest, including all the, let's say you have 4 editors, you have to write down all the 4 editors according to their names. Tentative titles, you see that tentative title is not only one title here. You may need to write 3 to 5 different titles for the publisher to select, but for you to select. Okay. So this is important. So don't write only one title. Okay. Then indexing keywords 7 to 10, same goes like a journal type here. Then some introduction to the subject areas. Here some synopsis I just added here. So for example, a book, we just focus on urban smart cities or something. So we just write some content. So what is the bridging between new technology and old technologies? What is the interdisciplinary field? So this kind of things is needed. And we use the word globally, institutions globally, internationally. Okay. So if you put globally, really, they are looking at whether your editor is global editors or only local editors, only from your own university. They are looking for that. So must be careful on this. Okay. tentative table of content or topics, then your objectives, okay, objectives reflecting back your title here, okay, tentative titles. So make sure your tentative titles match with these objectives. So, but they are asking only the objectives and impact. They don't ask you for every title different objectives. Okay, so make sure on that part. Then the target audience. So for academic book writers like you and me, make sure you cover research institutes. So it starts with undergraduate. Don't leave the undergraduate students. Okay, pull them in. Okay, graduate writing, graduates, postgraduate students. And this is the intended area that some publishers they are not agreeing on this side. So they are going for a textbook. So they'll look at your proposal, and it looks like your intended audience supposed to be in a multi-range here. So they don't do that. I think some of the publishers are doing that. But right away, it doesn't mean that your proposal is bad, but their publication, the publishing house has their own restrictions. Okay, but in general, most of the publishers, they really like this target audience. It must be covered from business, economics. It looks to you why this guy is involving everything here. That is a challenge when you're receiving the proposal. Whether you're receiving the proposal from authors, must be interdisciplinary work. If it is your title represents in this case. Okay, in this case, one of the book here, it's about interdisciplinary. Okay, so we may need to cover various areas. Okay, I quickly move. Okay, planning and reaching contributions, specific venues. Okay, for example, I want to connect particular book with your own colloquium. They want to know, and you want to promote your book, something like a marketing here, right? But they don't use the word marketing. They use the word plan to reaching contributors. Right? Let's say you put the research institute here, you put some conference venues here. Okay, but in conference, when you go and attend a conference, they are looking for conference proceedings, isn't it? So you may need to look at the conference organizer. Probably you are organizing a special session or something. It's not like pulling the conference paper to your book chapter. It doesn't mean that. Just to promote your work. Okay, promote your book, book advertisements there, right? So maybe the audience are interested to buy your book. Okay, so if you are in the proposal stage, you are promoting this. Okay, I'm going to, once I publish the book, I want to showcase my contributions in this particular conference. It's not like you go and get the conference paper published in your book. No, that's a big issue there, right? So that's why the conference organizers, they don't allow it. So you must make sure that you talk to them correctly. These are the books published under me. So I'm just trying to promote my publication. So I think they will allow you to put some venue there, okay? In online, for example, a web page. Or these are the you are the speaker of the conference. They're just telling you, oh, these are the published books. Yeah. So those are interested, this is go and buy. Okay, existing competing titles. This is a challenging part in your proposal. List down at least 3 or 4. Let's say you're working on publisher A, and Springer is already published the same similar title, and that is a danger. So you have to write justification here, why you have the similar title and what is the difference. Okay, whether you are supporting with any programming codes or you're supporting with the design architecture. So that is a difference there. Okay, maybe the Springer publisher, maybe they worked on only text-based outputs, okay, results. Okay, maybe you can give a programming code in a GitHub support. Okay, publication platform. Okay, this is again, initially I was thinking of put that as a separate slide, but this is important. Just give you some idea here. There are types of books. For example, edited books, so which is having 15 chapters at least, and this is a word count. Okay, and they have a case books, That means a particular publisher are able to support the variety of publication platforms. That's why they are adding you here, and you're going to select any one. Okay. So in this case, mostly we select edited books. Okay. And there is a possibility your edited books can be extended as a handbook of research books. Could be a one volume or second volume. Some publishers are very interesting to see. They will take few chapters from your book from other editors and they compile it from the publishing house and bring them as a handbook of research. Okay. That also possible. That is a publisher side. But here, in this case, when you write a proposal, you choose almost the first one, edited books, 15 chapters. Okay, very clear, easy to handle. We are not full-time book writers, so we are all education tied with our schedules as well, 20 hours of teaching or whatever. So edited book is fine. So I just want to show you these are the various book types. Edited book, case books, handbook of research, handbook of research volumes. It goes by 2 volumes. You see that one is a 25 chapters. You go for second volume, could be more, 40 chapters. The last one is supposed to be like encyclopedia. Okay, 3 volumes. So just take note on this. But always when you write a proposal, my good advice, if you're not a full-time book publisher, book author, select edited books. Okay, some anticipation from the publisher as well. They're talking about the publication format, number of pages, approximate pages, right? One side, yeah. And this last one is a tentative project deadline. You see, they are very quick. They can, for example, this publisher, they are able to make it within 6 months development period or 7 to 9 months. I think good advice, 1 year is enough. Don't take risk of 6 months. Publisher don't like to extend deadlines, okay? Because they assign person, they assign an editorial team to take care of your book. So once your proposal approved, probably they will assign a group of team of person probably working with your book project. So good advice, 7 to 9 months book. Okay, and then this is the one marketing considerations here as well. Okay, so roughly you know that what is in the proposal. Okay. Two options always we think of, either your book contract approved or rejected. There is one more possibility. I reject a publishing contract. That means the authors, not authors, sorry, the editors. There are many reasons. Okay, there are many reasons we don't want because the communication breakdown or something like that. But don't open a conference, call for chapters to do that. But make sure that you must check their background carefully. So this is I rejected a publishing contract. That means the contract approved on my book, but I rejected. There is another possibility. So if your contract approved, you go ahead, right? And rejected, please drop it. Unless otherwise, if the publisher asks you to revise and submit, you do it. Otherwise, you just drop it. Don't go and submit again and again, the same publisher. They don't table your application. Here, I use the same thing. This one, the publisher rejected. This is a very big danger. You already have a group of authors submitted your proposal. But during the production stage, the publisher rejected. So in that case, there could be of different issues. You try to fix it. You have to fix it because you already have authors already published in your book. Okay. So the high reasons here is not enough or not correctly review, or you don't assign a proper reviewers. So good advice, when you assign a reviewer, each chapter of your book must have at least two reviewers, two international reviewers, okay, at least two reviewers. So that when any publisher, if they ask some kind of problems with your editorial system or editorial issues, we are able to see that yes, every chapter is properly done, proper assigned with reviewers. Okay, so this is a extraordinary thing. Okay, so publisher usually reject. Some publisher experiences are there. We have some experiences on this, so we try to fix it. So something like you remarking, let's say your when you release your exam marks, then some students come and see you that, oh, hey, my marks are different from the one that you gave me earlier, something like that. You quickly go and remark the whole class. Really challenging, really tough. But that's a case. I'm just mentioning here is to fix it. Okay. Let's say you have a contract signed, and why authors write interest, passion, some kind of prestige. Yeah, I'm having this much of books. Yeah, and it expand your visibility in terms of your own profile. And if you are going for a collaboration grant, so it's very easy for someone outside your country looking at your work, and they have a confidence that yes, this guy worked with collaborators across various regions and successfully come up with one publication, it's a book or something, right? So you may get some collaborative grant funding or publications. Okay? So, but what we think as an editor, so without, for example, a new area in computation, for example, quantum machine learning in terms of medical domain, drug discovery. I don't see much books there. We have plenty of GitHubs, right? So I'm just thinking of what is this area. So how can I convince an editor from bioinformatics with computational chemistry and try to make one book? So that is the editor's thinking, right? And the expert thinking, okay? So that we are able to successfully go for some kind of publication. Okay? So this is about the contract stuff and your book proposal writing side. Okay, so let's look at once your contract approved, what else we have started to do there. Look at these two options here. Call of chapters. So call of chapters, some publishers, they come up with their own system. They have their editorial system, book publisher system. Probably they will give you a choice of filling up the blanks, and they come up with a call for papers. In some cases, you have to create your own call for papers. Even though let's say I have a contract approved, but how you're going to communicate with your authors, try to connect with your authors. So if you have your own poster, for example, you have your own poster published in LinkedIn, published in your Instagram, Twitter, and so on, or you can also circulate to a research institutes through your email contacts and so on, right? So call for papers is very, very important, even though if some publisher have their own call for papers digitalized systems. Okay. So now, so you know how to write roughly book proposal. So your contract approved. We have seen contract approved, rejected, I reject, and publisher reject. Then everything goes smooth. Now everything you have to go for connecting for people or authors. So in this case, we quickly move on. Two things: editorial system side. Either you do a manual submission or editorial submission. So I show you one example here. That is a publisher which has an editorial submission. Okay. Yes, Dr. Gerald Nirmal. I will answer your question. Yeah, I saw there are publishers with royalties. It's already inside your contract. So once you sign the contract, so there are loyalties. So I couldn't see the full contract here. So the contract comes with all the royalties. Yeah, but some countries, for example, you're living in Canada, you're living in Europe, for example, Poland, Romania, there are some constraints there. You must be aware of that. Okay, let's say you're publisher in US and you're one of the editor in Poland or one of the editor in Romania. So how they are going to communicate and how the royalty will be delivered. There are because when you're looking for the royalty side, they ask about your taxation. They ask you about your tax details, uh, bank details, everything. Okay, but when you roughly see the contract, they'll be giving you a contract royalties. Let's say 15% or 25%. It depends on the publisher. Okay, so I think that is one of the questions. Yeah. So now back to the very quick screenshots I have. There are two ways you can handle. With the editorial system, you let the user tell the artist to communicate with you through the editorial system. Okay. So you can see the editorial system has everything. Call for chapters. So it has everything all in one. So let's say you can see as an editor, it gives you an easy way of looking at this particular topic of books. So you know how many editors you have, how many proposals coming in. You know, so what are the requests forwards, and so on. So in this case, they provide you a call for papers template. You just fill up and write it down. And once the process going on here is a good practice that you can ask the authors to write a one-page proposal of their chapters. Okay, usually we call that as author's proposal. Okay, before they go and submit your full chapters, you just ask them what is their introduction, title, background, you know, what is the content that they are going to put in their chapter. So you may need to quickly go through as an editor, you may need to approve that before they submit the full version. Okay? So that's why I put here author's proposal, accept or reject. Okay. Then assign, earlier I mentioned, so assign 2 or 3 reviewers. You notice that this particular online version, a particular title here, is assigned actually 3 reviewers. Okay, I assigned 3 reviewers, 2 already replied. Okay. And then we publish those chapters. And once you publish, you notice that once you publish, we can see that there is an additional thing you need to do. Recommend to a colleague, recommend to a library. So here goes your indexing ideas. So let's say when you want to, for example, some publishers, not all the books will be published with a default indexing like Scopus, right, or Web of Science. So after you deliver the published work of the book, you have to do some work as an editor and the authors. Okay, so that's what we do for certain books. So here, that's the idea that I'm just to show you. Not only publishing the work, after you publish, you are able to promote to a library. So what I did in my university here, some of my books, I make that as a additional reference book, and I'll tell my librarian to order few copies. So as an editor, we'll get a discount so that you can have at least 1 or 2 copies. And tell your students, we have this additional reference book. Try to link some chapters, some research articles in your assessment work or some kind of class activities. So that's what institutions are needed as well. So let's say you are going for a promotion, right? You publish 100 books and 100 books not used in your university by the university. So the reviewers will ask you, why this guy already published many things and why it's not linked. So try to link your research work in your classroom. Okay, that's what a short trick for you. Okay, publish. So this is one system, online system. Second one I tried to show you very quickly is Elsevier. They have their online system. Even though they have their online system, you please create your own call for chapters. Otherwise, you may not reach the public. Okay. Another thing I want to stress here, let me check quickly chat window. Okay, this is okay. For example, publisher like Elsevier, they are very keenly worked on permission forms, especially you have to address it. Let's say you have 20 chapters, they will send permission forms to all the 20 authors. Sorry, authors, 20 authors, 20 chapters, 20 authors, corresponding authors. Make sure that your article has some images and it is properly cited or it is not copyrighted. Okay. So when I talk about the proposal writing, we talk about budget, right? Here goes the budget. So some books, they already budgeted to buy the copyright materials used in one of your author's material, but usually they don't do it. So you have to replace with a new diagram or replace with your new publication images, the published images, or you get a proper permission. Okay, this is the permission form, one of the permission form. For example, an author from Mexico, they want to use the timetabling system framework they're working on, but they interest on my work, so they just ask me a permission. So usually we don't charge them, isn't it? You're academics. So what I did, yes, you'll be granted a permission. So on this particular article dated and so on and so forth, and make sure you publish with your add my other articles as your references just to boost up your index. Okay. This kind of academic things can be done, but this is from the publisher side. So they won't approve, even though you don't have any images, you have to reply them. Yes, there is no images, there is no copyright materials added in my chapter. So you just proceed. Then only you're able to, the publishing house will approve. Okay. This is about the two high-level electronic-based submission systems. What if you have a manual proposal? Wiley is a high-level publisher, traditional publisher, but they don't have the author's publish system, right? So they do have an interface, something like this. They will guide you with guidance, how to write a proposal, how to submit a proposal, what are the components inside. Okay, but the challenge here, you have to do a call for chapters again, and you have to wait for their phase by phase. Okay, so what do you mean by phase by phase? You look at this, each phase, all the editors from your side has to be addressed this. Let's say concept one is your main contact, commissioned editor will be contacting you. Second phase, content and production editors are contacting. For example, now the phase in red color, that means the particular book is in phase 3. Okay. And there is one more phase to go. That means the proofreading, copy editing, and so on. So each phase is very crucial. Imagine you are supported by 15 to 20 authors and co-authors already trusting you to publish in this esteemed publisher. And as an editor, you may need to communicate with them periodically, efficiently. Okay. And if there is no electronic system, make sure that your manual system works through emails. Okay. Make sure your Gmail is not full. They'll ask you, they'll send you an email. Within this month, are you free to receive this email? who are the corresponding authors, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you must be aware on this type of things. Okay? Let's say manual submission. There is no editorial system, because editorial system you can create alerts to your emails. Yeah, but if it is a manual system, you have to rely only on the emails and you have to respond to the publisher. For example, Wiley publishers in US, the commission editor, they want to talk to the editors. So once approved the contract, they will go for a Skype call or a Teams or Zoom, whatever. You have to talk to them. So that is one of their criteria. So don't skip. Don't say I'm not free, even though the different time zones you have to. Okay, only one time, then all through emails. Okay, the topic here they talk about sourcing publishers selection. A lot, there are plenty. So which domain is you are in? Make sure that is useful for you. So in this case, I just listed some of the one that we tried. Okay, and we tried some approved, some rejected, some revised, and some already published. Okay, so those who are in computer science and engineering side, probably you'll be interested to look at these publishers, and they are very reliable. Some they call themselves as their own publishing house. Okay, let's say the Apple Academic Press, they tied with CRC Press with a stem. CRC Press is totally different. Okay, you see that I listed CRC Press. I just put A to T. Okay, I couldn't find Z. Okay. Bentham Science International Publisher. This is an Arabian publisher. They are in particular of publishing books, but they need the author must be a PhD candidate or complete PhD. They are very specific on this. So you have to, when you communicate with the editors or the contract publishers, the publisher will tell you the guidelines. So once you approve the contract, you must, or during the communication side, they will tell you. So Bentham Science, you just take note. So they are looking for, even in book publication, they are looking for the author must be doing a PhD or already completed PhD. So you see the level of importance they given to the books. Okay. The last one, I move on. Challenges with editorial things. A lot of things to be done by the editor. That's why we have 4 editors, at least. If you are a solo person and you are full-time of writing books, you are able to handle this. However, we are all young researchers. Probably we need at least 3 or 4 editors. You split your job, but make sure that you are in synchronization with others. So you see that periodic communication with the publisher is important. Communication with authors, including co-authors. Okay, that issue here, some issues, the co-author issues there, right? And there is again copyright forms there. Other thing that I cannot include much here, but same like your journal publication, you cannot change the author in between, this kind of things. But what is needed here by the editor challenges here, these are the challenges. But writing wise, you have to be careful of looking at writing a table of content for your book to the publisher, writing the preface by the editors to the publisher, acknowledgement by the editor to the publisher, or they even ask you to select an image for your book. Okay. Yeah, this is the front cover matters. Back cover matters here is editor's profile. Make sure your editor is using a current recent profile. Indexing pages and glossary. Because sometimes some books, they don't use the glossary. They will give you an option whether you are going to have a glossary for each chapter so that they can compile it. Okay. So here you put a note here, publisher responsible for indexing as well as the royalties. Okay. So I think one of the publisher like IOP publisher, right? IOP publisher. If you publish their work within the time or earlier, they will give you bonus incentives or bonus royalties. You can read that from the contract. I don't want to show all those contracts here. Okay. So this is about the challenging ideas. Is it as an editor's functions? So it's not like you compile and pass to publisher. So once you do the compilation work, pass to publisher, and these are the things you have to do. So my good advice, you have 4 editors. So you have to assign some editors to be good in writing or writing this preface, or acknowledgement, this kind of thing. You cannot handle everything solo, even though you have 4 editors. There's a danger. Okay. And some publishers, in serious communications, they will CC to all the editors and they will get back your reply whether you CC to all the editors and so on. So they are very keen on this kind of communication. That's why the communications are very important. Okay. So I like the Emerald Publishers one-page publishing. This is a very standard and reputed publisher. Okay. You can see that in a diagrammatical representation like a flowchart, or this is the process. You see, these are all, everything has a stage by stage, stage by stage. I think my slides all covered in this area. Now my question here, is there a time publisher bankrupt and stop the book project? So you cannot be happy all the time, you know, hey, I have a book published, I have a book proposal approved. I already submit to the communicated to the authors, and I have 15 chapters. But what if it happens this? It really happens. It really happens by Emerald. Okay, during the COVID time. Okay, it's not bankrupt. They will cut down the titles. You know, the reason they proposed here is a lot of universities and colleges are closed down. Or something like we proposed a title with optimization, and their justification, I do not know what I'm not accepting that idea, but this is the publisher's email. Oh, this project cannot make it because they have listed down a long list of titles related to optimization. They claim that all the universities are closed, and majority of the titles that you submitted needs computation and they need research lab. So we cannot publish on this. So they have their own decision. Okay. It all happens. So make sure that you have to be communicate with your publisher carefully and the authors. So let's say what happens now. Let's say I have few authors submitted. Just tell them, you just email them, just get an email from the publisher, pass it to the authors. It must be very transparent. So the authors will go and publish in another venue, right? Or if you want to counter offer them with another publication under you can offer them. Okay. So this is all research process. But there is a problem with publishers. Some publishers doing this. Okay. I think this is my last slide. I hope so. Yeah, I think last slide. I saw this is very interesting. janefriedmans.com. You can browse that. What interests me here is every year they will release the book publishing path. This is the 2021-2022. So if you go for 2020, 2017, 2018, they go by this every year they are coming up. Okay. And I like to see this one is special cases here. So Amazon publishing is a special case, and digital only or digital first. These are all some publishers, they are looking for this option, okay, to cut down their publishing charges or budgets. So the top one, I like to highlight this before I close. Traditional publishing, or they call that as advanced based publishing. Then they classify that as non-advanced based publishing. Then the last one is something like indie or self-publishing. Let's say I am a programmer, I'm doing my own research. I come up, let's say those who are writing something, some articles, and they compile that into a publication. Okay, I think PyImage University, right? Those who are working on TensorFlow, you would have heard about this. They have their own, and JSON from publisher. So if you want to order, you have to order only from them. Okay, that is indie type of publishers. So we don't want to go for indie type of publishers. But this is the key idea. So if you are publishing 2022 is still only March, please look at the chart. So I gave you this website link. So again, it will go through the whole process, publications, and so on and so forth. And this will be very useful. So I believe this will be useful. Okay. And these are the recent books that we publish. Okay. Recent books we publish. You please take note of my. I don't mind sharing my mobile number. I do hope you don't disturb me much again. But I'll reply. I'll reply emails. And these are the books that publish, and some books are still in press. Some books takes a longer time to publish. Some books a shorter time to publish. Okay. So this is about my presentation. So you have any questions?
Thank you so much, sir. It was really an informative session, and I hope you will be contacted by many of the participants, including us,
Yeah,
to take a
welcome.
guidance from you to submit the book proposal and probably designing any book proposal. So yes, there was one question which I think you had taken it or not, because the faculty has asked. If
How
the
many
book
percentage of plagiarism, isn't it? That's the one.
plagiarism and then it is not index journal that is being posted here. I just go through the question.
Okay, I quickly answered. I saw the question. Siv Money.
Is it useful to publish book in not index journals? Means that is which is not is Scopus Index or IEEE, or probably if book is published. So what is that book value could be?
Okay, there are two options here. So when you write a book publication work, you are showing a small portion of your research, right? For example, empirical studies or literature reviews, right? And you don't put your final results in a book chapter. You rather publish in journals, right? So my advice, you want to start writing with a new topic, a new idea. So you go for a book chapters, okay? Empirical results are there. For example, Elsevier, Wiley publications, they're looking for some empirical results. So you may have to conduct some experiments, some results must be there, okay? And it will take some time to index it. So it's not like spontaneous like journals. They already give you an assurance. Yes, you publish, this will be published in index journals. Yeah. So always go for a top tier published book publishers like Elsevier, Wiley book, Taylor Francis. They're all definitely they will be going for indexing. Okay. To start with, some indie developers or small publishers you can start with. But as an editor, when you receive author's proposal, don't receive only the literature review for all the 15 chapters. Don't do that. Definitely your book cannot be indexed. Okay. So you must have a mixture. You must make sure that 15 chapters is a bottom line. Make sure you have enough literature survey. It could be a new topic, and it has some empirical results so that your index will be going up, your H index will be going up. Yeah, they were looking for all various possibilities. Definitely your book will be indexed. Yeah. Then the plagiarism side, plagiarism is less than 10%. Less than 10%. It's a high tempting one because of book chapters. They thought no one is going to read. No, the publisher will take care of this. The final copy that they will, from the publisher, there is a high possibility of rejection. There is a high possibility of rejection. So even though you cross the two reviewers, that's why we always communicate with authors saying that you are passing the editorial phase. Now your chapters in the publisher's phase. Yeah. So you must, until end of the day, you said from the publisher, this is your final copy, proofreading, then you're happy. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. And I really enjoy the session. And yeah, so hopefully I'll catch up with Dr. Bala soon.
Yes.
With and other colleagues.
He is here and he would like to extend his thanks and gratitude to you. Professor Bala, please.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And I have one doubt, if you don't mind. Like,
yes, sir.
Sir, like we have also done some books, but not so much as you have done. Like, I need to ask, sir, like when I'm communicating with Elsevier at times, or they don't accept our books sometimes in the proposal. Like, I have a lot of failures in Elsevier, but so can you give a tip? Like, what is that? I have even added foreign authors as an editors for that also, and choosing the topic also. I have done a market research, like these topics are not there and all this stuff, but still in Elsevier I couldn't fix it. So can you give a tip for it? It may be a personal tip, I'll accept for it.
I won't believe someone says Elsevier as European and American. I don't believe that, because I have our first Elsevier book, which is in now online. What is the challenge here is they are looking for really multidisciplinary topic. Let's say the current trend, let's say climate change or electronic cars, some kind of advancement linked with computation. Yeah, so this is, I think, you'll get through.
Yes,
But
sir.
they will ask you, they will ask you about the chapters, at least 15 chapters, tentative 15 chapter titles, and definitely they will ask this. They will look at the editor's background. We also faced a lot of stage by stage scrutiny when the proposal get approved. Yeah, so that is a challenge. So it's not like you just put some editors, but the topic must be something like related with you save Earth, the climate change, digital twins, this kind of slightly higher level of publications. Yeah, the titles there.
Thank you, sir. So we will work on something like multidisciplinary on EV or global warming, climate change, and
Correct, sir.
twin system, twin like digital twin and all this. Okay, so
Yes.
that's what is going futuristic topic. Okay, sir.
Yes. Correct.
I
So
will,
that they can sell the book for another 5 years.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much for your gestures.
Thank you, sir. Nandri, sir. Nandri, sir. Meet பண்ணுவோம். Thank you very much. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, everyone. We will start our next session by 11:30, and it will be taken by Professor Colin. So join back at 11:30. Thank you, everyone. We end this meeting right now.